you so much, mates, and nice to be here. I'll be presenting the VCA manual. Ralph Waldo Emerson, in his 1841 essay on self-reliance, said, "The person you're destined to become is the person you decide to be. But the process of becoming that person is a labor of love. It takes courage for one to challenge their current realities and be able to step into that space where it can visualize a life of no limitations." I have the pleasure to present to you this VCA manual, a methodology that was developed by the Hunger Project and has been used across several different countries to support people challenge their mindsets and develop that leadership mindset that is necessary for transformative changes. The VCA methodology is a tool that really works on the mindset. With the leadership mindset, just as we've been sharing in the groups, the person or the leader is able to visualize, stretch their imagination, and be able to challenge the status quo and come up with innovative solutions on how to contribute to the problem at hand. VCA stands for vision, commitment, and action. Albert Einstein, that very famous physicist that we've all read about, said imagination is better than knowledge. The VCA tool helps the users, the participants, or the people who are experiencing it to stretch their imagination, to step into that space where they can really feel that they are in charge and they're no longer victims of circumstances. When you imagine, you're able to challenge yourself, to step into that space where you feel, I need to mobilize all the necessary resources, necessary support to be able to transform my life. This VCA methodology is actually needs-based, practical, and result-oriented. It was developed in such a way that it can be used for many different reasons to tackle different issues. It can be used with groups within a workshop setting. And when you experience this, when you go through this methodology, you're able to use it to address any issue, any challenge that you encounter. Usually the contents, the elements within the VCA model or manual that I'll be taking you through tend to remain the same, but the facilitator has that opportunity to be flexible and adapt it to the different environments, the different groups, and the different needs at hand. It was also developed with the reader's curiosity in mind. When you have an opportunity of seeing this manual, it has two versions: an elaborated version of the manual and an online interactive PDF version. So that elaborated manual actually has the detailed content of what is contained in this VCA manual, the background, the different steps, and all the different information or pieces of knowledge that a facilitator needs to equip themselves with prior to facilitating a workshop. And even the participant, if they have the chance of reading through the manual prior to attending a workshop, they'll be able to understand what exactly they're going to achieve or they're going to obtain from participating in this workshop. The interactive online PDF version is a snapshot, a summary of the elaborated version. It has the different steps. It gives, of course, the background, summary of the background, and also summarizes the different steps and processes and sessions that are involved in a typical VCA workshop. So I now invite you to come along with me as I take you through the interactive version of the manual so that you're able to understand what I'm talking about. Yeah, so this is our interactive PDF version of the manual. You'll be able to find it online. It's already there. So our slogan is, yes, we can change mindsets and lives with the VCA methodology. It has been used, it has been tested. There are a lot of beautiful testimonies about this manual, and I'm one of the people to give these testimonies as a participant first and also as a facilitator. Because when you experience this manual and test it on yourself, you're able to actually gain that confidence to be able to sell it out, to be able to market it, because you can never sell what you don't. You have to first experience it before you can share it out. So when you look at this, when you go through this interactive PDF, it has different chapters. The first chapter is provides a general background about the mindset change. What is mindset change? Why is it that some people remain stuck in a limited mindset while other people transform and, you know, are able to achieve those dreams or the life that they've desired to live? So it explores the different resistances to mindset, just as we share. Gives the participants an introduction into what the workshop is about, and prepares them to know, to break loose of their limited mind to actually become open-minded. We said one of the true attributes, so characters or behaviors of a person with a leadership mindset is having that open mind. So when you go through these resistances and go through the process of mindset change as an introduction, the participants are prepared and actually help them to release that control or resistance to their thinking. When you go to that second chapter, which talks about the VCA itself, what is VCA? What does it stand for? And what are the how do you facilitate? I mean, what does it stand for? And it also goes in detail to explain what a vision is, because sometimes, you know, we are working with very rural communities. Most of these people are illiterate. So you're talking about vision, but the person doesn't understand. So you have to narrow it down to their own understanding to help them, you know, understand it, because some of these are concepts that appear so big, but when you bring it down to their level, it actually makes it easier for them to understand. So this chapter explains that concept of vision. What is vision? What is commitment? What is action? And what are some of the elements that you need in creating a vision? So it's also an introduction. So, and then it also talks about how to use this VCA manual. This, how to use the VCA manual, is a powerful knowledge for the facilitator. A first-time facilitator needs this information to understand, how do I use this? How do I approach this? And then also, who can use this VCA manual? Of course, we said it's best used in groups by a facilitator who has been trained and gone through the sessions themselves. So the third chapter in this manual talks about how to make the VCA workshop successful. So it explores the workshop cycle. There are 6 steps that one has to be acquainted with as they prepare for a workshop. So what happens before the workshop? Having to, being able to know, to contextualize the whole workshop. What am I aiming to achieve? What is the purpose of this? Who are the people that are planning to be part of this? Because you need to have that forward thinking, so you to be able to contextualize your workshop to be able to serve the actual need. Then, of course, the design of the workshop, how are you going to design it? Having contextualized it, how do you design it to fit the need? So all this information is important for the facilitator to know as they are preparing themselves. Then during the workshop, this is basically information that gives the facilitator some useful tips on how to facilitate, how do you communicate? Because the goal of this workshop is to trigger that mindset shift. So if you don't achieve this as a facilitator, if you go into this facilitation process with this mindset of being a teacher, thinking you're the one who knows, and these people have just come to, you know, to learn, then you're getting it wrong. So this session, this chapter helps you to also check yourself as a facilitator. What do I go with? You know, then after the workshop, what are you supposed to do? So it also gives you those tips. And the next chapter is on now the typical sessions, now the actual VCA program, the workshop. On that day you're facilitating the workshop, what happens? So this chapter talks about now the different sessions. The first session is generally the welcome and introduction. As a facilitator, how are you going to introduce? Because the introduction sets the pace, it sets the stage. If you start on a wrong pace, you're likely to end on a wrong pace. So the introduction, the welcome is really so important. You set the stage, you set the ground rules, you get the expectations of the participants. But not only looking at the expectations, we also look at the intentions. What are these participants coming to co-create with in this process? Because it's not about them expecting. We talked about one of the aspects of a leadership mindset is being responsible. So you've come for this workshop, you've been invited as participants. In this space, we're about 30 people. You have something to contribute. So, and you have something probably you feel you can be able to bring to this space as you go through this. So exploring their intentions and the expectations helps us to set the pace for that workshop. And the next step, the next session is on the leadership and mindset. So we also go through We emphasize this as the second session in conducting this VCL workshop, because as we already know, leadership is important. Everything rises and falls on leadership. So if we don't set the pace for them, for the participants to understand that actually they've come here not as participants, not as passive observers, but leaders who have something to contribute. So we explore what are some of those attributes or characters or behaviors of a person with a leadership mindset, and why is it important to have a leadership mindset in this whole process of being self-reliant. So this chapter explores that, and it sets the stage. Then we go into the third session now of the actual visioning exercise, the VCA, the visioning. Now, what this session helps us, takes the participants on a journey to broaden their imaginations, to dream, to visualize that future that they've always desired. So it talks about, it takes them through that process. And when you look at the slide, it also, in the interactive PDF, it also has short video clips, which give more information or testimonies from experienced facilitators in the community, sharing about vision and commitment and why it's important, and their experience having gone through this session of the visioning. The next, and then of course, after coming up with the vision, we conclude this session with the commitment. We help them now to understand, you've created this vision, but what is the idea, what is the current situation? Because there's this future you're envisaging, but there's something that is keeping you stuck. So we have to break those chains that are preventing them from going there, getting to their vision. So we analyze the current situation vis-a-vis the vision they're looking at. And then we explore what are some of the reasons, what are some of the issues that are tying you. We list them down, and this information is coming from them. Then we let them know that, it is not enough for you to dream. You have to do something. A vision without commitment, a vision without you taking the initiative to be in charge is a dead dream. So we let them come up with something, maybe a song or a symbol or something that is going to help them to commit that, yes, we are committed to this process of seeing our vision become a reality as a team or even as an individual, depending on how you're using the model. Then next we go on the session, which is the fourth session of the action planning. So being able to have this vision and committing to the vision is not enough. You have to take intentional steps in seeing that that vision is achieved. So having analyzed the current situation and the future, the dream that you're desiring, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So we list down those priorities. You look at the vision again, clarify the vision again, and then lay down priorities of what you're going to do. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So what is that first step you're going to take as an individual and as a community? Because we also know that you cannot climb a mountain alone. You need others. So we segment those actions. And in this process also, as we are starting the action planning process, we give them some principles on action planning and the 5 steps that we believe have really been proven to be some of the successful steps in formulating an action plan. So by the time we end this session, the group that we are facilitating that attending the workshop should be able to come up with a clear plan with clear action points. This is what we are going to do, who is going to do them, and these are the resources we need, and when are we going to do that? So each one comes up with a well-detailed action plan, which they're going to begin working on immediately, because we believe the journey starts in that workshop. So we don't wait for them to start next year when the resources are available. We tell them to start with what you have. And of course, this is concluded now with the follow-up session. Now at the follow-up session, this is when now we do an evaluation of how did we, what was our agenda, what was our goal? Have we achieved it? You explore the expectations of the participants. Then you do an evaluation also of the post-workshop evaluation. But also you come up with steps together, you plan together with the group on how you're going to do the follow-up. Because as a facilitator, it also doesn't really give you that confidence to just facilitate and leave the group to go. You also have to have some follow-up steps. Maybe I'll follow up through WhatsApp. Maybe I'll give some phone calls to the leaders to check on their progress. If they get to know that there's somebody who they're accountable to, it also pushes them. And it also shows them that you have interest. It was not all about just you coming to facilitate for the sake of it, but you're interested in seeing them transform. using probably the stories that they've shared. So you come up with a clear action plan, a clear follow-up plan of what you're going to do to be able to support them along the journey, maybe within a week or a month or a year. And also assign some other people within the group to also link up with you, and then you also decide probably when can we meet again for a follow-up and all that. Then we conclude this session with a celebration. The celebration is very, very important because the way you end, we have to end with a bang. People need to live with all the energy, even if usually the workshop lasts between 3 hours or 3 days. You can run it in 3 days or just 3 hours. But in whatever time you've run this workshop, the participants have to leave the room very motivated to take action. So we celebrate, we have a party and, and drink and, dance around, because this is what is going to cause them to go back and share with their families, to share with their husbands, to share with their community, their women groups, that this workshop we went through, please join, come and we work together. And this is the model that we are using. So we also have the final chapters are about, useful tips. We also share some useful tips within the manual on visualization, facilitation tips, how to organize, just for a first-time facilitator who needs additional information. Yeah, and then also there are some resources and links. And the resources, that's why you'll also download the full manual. So we believe that if a person goes online and gets interested in the VCA manual and is able to go through the interactive PDF, they will be inspired to really reach out and, feel, I need to download this and probably be a part of this process. So in summary, that is the tool that I've shared with you. And back to you, Meet.